for Tim Holtz IDEA-OLOGY Halloween Release 2022. For my project, I've used an accordion folio from the IDEA-OLOGY line. And so what I've done with that is I've used only the folio portion to create this little folder. And I've made 3 little books to go with this. And so what I'll do is I'll show you the little books first, and then I'll talk about how I put the folio together, which is super easy. So on this side pocket, I have this little tiny book I've made. I wanted it to be really small. And so what I've done is use the coin envelope from Collector Chapter 3. And so what I did for this little book is this flips up, these flip out, and then I have 1 page. You could actually put more pages, but I wanted this to be thin, and so I just have the 1 page. And the way I hinged that in was I used mummy cloth, went between the ephemera on this side and the photo on this side, and just put my mummy cloth right between. And then I've sewn the mummy cloth to the fold. And then I've got a lot of ephemera, used some of the new design tape. I really love the new tapes. I have a collage tile here that I've wrapped around the edge. Here's a tiny little rub-on. I love the new remnant rubs. They have a lot of small ones, and so that really gives you a lot of options. On the photo, I have frosted crystal. I've used some of the new Distress Halloween release. I've used the mica crayons in Iron Gate and Decayed, and I really like that grungy, sparkly look. And so the way that I close the book up is the string, or twine, I guess, is attached at the top, and I just go under that around, and you could go on either side of this, I suppose. And that's how it's held closed. I just left the flap on the bottom down. Have a little piece of ephemera on the end. So I really like this little book. This is from the Layers pack. I use him every year. I really love him. So I'm going to be making more of these. I really like that little book. Okay, so then on the back side, I've got this book. And this is made using the file folder from the specimen set. I love this paper. It's so cool. And I've got this skull that I've used as my focal point. And to him, I've used the little clock over his eye. That's from the sticker book. And then I punched some holes in his eye and in his forehead. And I've used the new droplets and countersunk those in. I have a remnant rub around that one. I really love those new droplets. I'll be using those year round. And then inside, on the inside cover, I have some snippets and ephemera tape. I love the new crackle tape. So cool. And then the design tape almost looks like crime scene tape. And then I've backed this page with the transparency. Love the skull transparency. I've cut that down and just made it fit this page. I've added the butterfly and just simply have sewn right down the center, kind of framed it with some stitching. And then this page is an envelope die cut from Postale. I have a window that I've cut into that so that my card will show. Have some mica over the top, this remnant rub. I love the remnant rubs this year. They're so cool. And then on this side, I have some more remnant rubs, and this piece of ephemera acts as a closure for the envelope flap. And then the card inside, I've used this layers piece. I love that owl. Done some stitching. And then on this side, it's just basically some backdrop scrap and ephemera. The paper doll, I've cut her down to fit. Always love the masquerade masks from the sticker book. So pretty simple little card for that envelope. And then this page, I've used several of the layers pieces, stacked those up. I have this photo. These come in the paper dolls. I've used the skull from the sticker book, and Theo later, see you later. It's from the remnant rubs. Those are really clever. I really like those. And I've used a lot of the snips around the edges. I've used frosted crystals, some of the Distress products, the same crayons around the edge. It gives such a neat grungy look. I love those. And then the last page, I've used this really cool marbled paper. All my papers are from the Halloween backdrops. I love that ephemera piece behind the paper doll. Each corner I've used one of the droplets. And then she's holding the flower. That's from the remnant rubs. I love that they're in 2 sizes. Love the backdrop papers always. They're so cool. So then my last book I've got inside. I have this little twine at the top, so it's easy to pull out. And then the first page, or the cover, I have this guy from the Layers pack. I love him. I use him every year. I've got some stickers from the sticker book, remnant rubs. The bat was perfect for his mustache. I've used a worn wallpaper scrap, baseboard piece. I've really grunged that up with some of the grip paste and the mica stains. I have a boneyard behind the butterfly. Done some tearing, and then this flips this way. And for this page, I've used the backdrop paper with the eye on it, framed that with this metal frame from IDEA-OLOGY. To create the pocket, I've used the worn wallpaper, and then this tag I've made from 2 of the ephemera pieces. Inside the pocket, I've cut down a very small portion of the transparency, and then on the back, I've backed it with a collage tile, put a little bit of mica flake right on his eye. That's from the Distress Mica Flakes. Gleam came into his eye. It's from the sticker book. So that was a fun little tiny tag. The door is from the baseboards. I love this door. So I've grunged it up with some more of the Distress products. Love the owl. He's so cute. And then I backed the door with another transparency. I've cut a kind of a jagged hole so that it frames his face. And then I've done some collage here with a tile and some ephemera, and then a little tiny remnant rub on the snippet. My back page here is a layers piece that I just love. It's such a beautiful piece. So I've added the paper dolls, the vulture. At the top, I have a quote chip, and I've just punched holes in either end of that to go through to the back side to create the pull. Then I've done some tearing of the paper here. I have a collage tile behind that, a few remnant rubs. Love the backdrop papers always. So that's my third little book. So the way that I put the folio together was the folio folds out, and then there's 2 flaps that fold out again. And so I cut those outer flaps off. On the bottom flap that folds down, I cut that off, leaving maybe an inch so that I could glue that inside. Then I sprayed some distress inks onto the folio, took some backdrop papers, tore some holes in the backdrop papers so that it would reveal the ink behind, and then did some messy stitching, have sewn the backdrop papers to the folio. I did all of this while the folio was still open. I made this flap from 2 backdrop papers, and the way that I did that was I just cut it to fit. I put it down inside, maybe, I don't know, I have it glued inside maybe 3 inches, maybe 2 inches. I don't even know. I didn't measure it. But because the backdrop papers are double-sided, you really wouldn't need to use 2. I just wanted the weight, and so I just chose the portions of the paper that I wanted to use. And I have this little adornment spider that I've painted and hung from the twine on the inside. And then the word plaque I've used to add my twine, and so I just punched holes, ran my twine through, tied it in a knot here, and then I'm using the shape seal as my closure. And the way that I did that was I punched 2 1-inch circles. I have sewn those together right in the center. I've sewn those 2 circles together, and then I've glued the bottom circle to the folio, and then I've glued the shape seal to the top circle. So when I'm putting my twine between, it's actually going between the two circles. I was so glad that worked because I really wanted to use the shape seal as my closure. And then I've got some ephemera. I've used some of the new Distress products on that, some crackle paint, some mica stain and iron gate. I've added an eyelet to the side, and I have this test tube that I've filled with confections. They look good enough to eat. I've used some remnant rubs on those. No regrets. Warning, maybe habit forming, yes. And then the strap on the back, I've used this layers piece and extended it with 2 snippets on either side. I have a lot of snippets, ephemera that I've added. I have some of the really cool crackle design tape in there. And then when I was ready to seal this up, the way I did that was this side folds in and it goes almost all the way across. And so I've then folded this in and glued it down just on the 3 edges, which created this pocket. And then I've reinforced it with the eyelets, and I did that before I folded this bottom piece in, and that just gave it some reinforcement. Plus I like the way it looks. And so I think I covered everything. If you have questions, just let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. So this is my little project for IDEA-OLOGY Halloween 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see what you guys are making for Halloween.